For April the 1st, 2022, we talk about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Forza Horizon 5, Portal Stories Mel, and more. And also, we promise no April Fool's jokes. That's dumb. Welcome to level 408. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Maismith.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, David.
Hey, good to be back.
Yeah, happy belated birthday.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. What you been up to?
Not a whole lot. Family came and visited. So my parents just got back from a trip to Africa. And so lots of stories about that. Seeing various animals.
Which part of Africa?
Tanzania, which is like the Serengeti or whatever.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think my favorite picture they brought back is they came across a pair of cheetahs that had just made a kill and, finished eating. And apparently they just will, like, when they kill something, just eat as much as they possibly can and then, like, not need to eat for a week or something.
Yeah.
Huh.
So there's just these two, like, completely obese cheetahs just kind of lying on their backs in the grass, just being chill.
Go ahead.
Fastest land animal, my ass.
Go ahead and kill me. I've already won. Oh my god! Apparently, cheetahs are real. They're real dog-like. Like cheetahs
Really?
can actually, like of the, I would call. I was about to call them a great cat, and then somebody would come in and, actually zoology edition on me and say they're actually a great cat. But like, apparently they are, if not tameable, they're the most like friendly kind of to be around.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
That explains what they've got a cool feature at the Cincinnati Zoo. If anyone ever hits that up,
it's a good zoo.
they do like cheetah runs, and like that. It makes sense with them being a friendly animal why they get featured so much. I mean, in addition to them just being badass.
Yeah, I've also seen a video of a cheetah just really just letting her rip, shitting into the sunroof of a Jeep. I was on safari. Oh my god, it was really funny.
Frat cheetahs.
As a side note, I just posted the cheetah picture to the backstage site.
Look at those spotty little orbs. I love them. Oh, that's cool. Thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ben, what's going on?
Not much. High point is I went out of town over the weekend. I went to a music festival in Utah that one of my old roommates played a show at. So got to see that, and I got to see the band The OCs live, and that was a lot of fun.
Cool.
So, yeah, I'd never been to Boise, Utah before, but it was pretty cool.
I wasn't aware there was a Boise, Utah.
Oh, it's the capital. Or wait, no. Boise, Idaho, excuse me.
Idaho. Okay, there we go. You went to Idaho, not Utah.
I did go to Idaho.
Cool.
That's how much I love that state, is I totally remembered its name.
Yep. Ben, there is in fact a Boise, Utah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean when a state reaches
reaches a what?
Reaches a certain level of homophobia, they just spontaneously get a Boise.
Oh,
jeez.
To be fair, I self-censored, but
let me briefly defend the good people that I met at Boise. For the most part, everyone was like pretty welcoming. Didn't get there were like I didn't meet any conservative people but the people who were locals there did say there's a lot of conservative influence like around outside the city, kind of.
Yeah,
and a bit within, but I don't know. Yeah, everyone I met was really friendly. So.
Nice.
Yeah, to be fair, I live in Alabama, so
yeah.
Just assume everybody's homophobic there or anywhere. Or... Yeah.
They're good people everywhere.
There's exactly.
So I'm not, my picture of Idaho is probably, inaccurate to where Boise is. Is that like in like the pretty part of the mountains, or is that
Yes.
more down in the plains?
So it reminded me a lot of Vegas, where there were kind of mountains kind of surrounding the city.
Mm-hmm.
It was more dominant, I think, on the north half than the south half.
Nice.
But it was just very brown, like all around. I don't know if it changes based on time of year or anything like that. But then geography of the city was kind of similar to Austin, where it had like a small like river separating the downtown from like other stuff to the south. They had a giant park to the south of the river.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I think my biggest news is that I am +1 nephew.
Oh, nice.
As of yesterday. Yeah, so that's super exciting.
Oh, is that their first? That's not your first, is it? Okay.
That is this is my younger brother.
Okay.
It's a big family, so there's a lot of kids. But yeah, so it's their third.
Okay.
They got a boy, a girl, and now Andreas Raphael Furia. Which I'm like, man, that is a way cooler name than Dennis.
That is a fancy name.
Yeah.
His initials are ARF, though.
Yeah, well, I have a sister that's Annie Rose Furia, so we were joking about being initials twins.
Yeah.
And she pointed out, she's like, yeah, initialing things is cool AF.
So,
observed.
So the rules of peerage completely mystify me. How is a nephew related to you?
My brother's son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which also in having a non-binary sibling-in-law, I've realized there are no good non-gendered names for aunts and uncles. It's a very weird setup. So, they just go by their name to our kids. But
yeah,
if anyone's, I've heard piblings, and I'm not saying piblings.
And that's I don't know. I wouldn't want to.
That's what I do.
If I was talking to somebody who is non-binary who is also an uncle, I wouldn't take that to them. I would rather them say, I would prefer to be called blah.
Yeah.
Because if somebody just I'm not non-binary, but if somebody rolled up and said, hey, you're a pibling, be like, the fuck you say?
So, to kind of maybe redeem my recent joking on the rural states of America, I really love one of my favorite things about being here is the like non-binary and like LGBTQ stuff. Community in the South, or at least Alabama, is super into y'all.
Oh yeah.
It's non-gendered.
It's an incredibly useful word.
Okay, so now my non-gendered niece or nephew is going to be a y'allet.
It sounds like a Pokemon. I don't know.
But yeah, so no, that's an adorable and fun event. We also recently found out that my other brother is expecting as well, and so it's like everyone's popping out babies left and right. So
yeah,
we're getting left behind, I guess, or I guess we're getting caught up to is the technical term.
Yeah, that would be the thing. You got three, so
yeah. I'm not going to try to keep up in that race. We're happy with our score. We'll stay there. But yeah, so that's fun.
Wait,
we might
do a score.
How behind am I on?
Yeah, I assume in the ones I don't know about, but no. So we might go out there for Easter and like not them host, but like get an Airbnb of like the family and have some fun meeting baby.
Nice. Yeah. Well, congratulations.
I shared vacation plans. I shared like first and middle names of family. I'm doing all the wrong internet things.
Yeah, no, your OPSEC is rough. I was gonna wait to
work on that.
Was gonna wait till a break, but yeah.
Well, should have thought about that. Yeah. It's all good. But yeah, so new babies in the family are always fun. And everybody shares the exact same picture of the kid with the hospital blanket and the hospital hat on. And I swear to God, every newborn is indistinguishable when they're in that. Like they all I mean, they look smooshed for the
Yes.
most part. That's the
I feel like we're getting like the Morbo, all puny infants are equally the same to Morbo.
equally adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
By
congratulations.
which, I know, I'm probably a horrible person, by which I mean not adorable at all. I've never seen an adorable newborn.
I mean, it depends on how newborn. After the head takes shape, you're generally okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have a day like they just had and try to look cute.
No, I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
It's not on them to impress you. Come on.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be here, man.
No,
Cole, other than craving Indian food, how are you?
Well, I mean, I was just going to talk about how I'm sad that I'm almost out of episodes of Cutthroat Kitchen, but you had to come and introduce new life into the equation with your, so I can't really go with that. No, just a bunch of boring stuff. Just trying to get ready for spring. There's landscaping and grass root system concerns and drainage to address. Gotta getting a landscaper in to get a quote on some yard grading. Got some water pooling against the foundation. Got to stop that.
Some IRL Stardew Valley stuff.
Yeah, just really getting in there. Life in the fast lane is what it is.
Have you ever thought of just replacing your lawn with AstroTurf?
So I've got a gigantic fucking lawn. Which is not a brag. I hate it. I would rather have a smaller lawn with a higher fence. I'm being serious. I would much rather have a smaller lawn with a higher fence because the space is kind of a lot of the total area that I'm on would be nice for like privacy and noise kind of stuff, but because I'm on a cul-de-sac, my lot is shaped like this weird triangular trapezoid kind of deal. So It is incredibly wide at the back but very narrow at the front. I'm basically like, regular suburb distance away from my neighbors on the left and right, and then my yard is just this big useless wedge.
That makes for excellent firing lines, though. I mean, natural choke point.
Yeah, backyard stuff.
Yeah, backyard stuff.
Hey. After the month Ukraine's been having, I feel like
It'd be nice to you gotta start thinking about fortifications, which is why I want a smaller yard with a higher fence. Yeah, it'd be a perfect yard for like a a swimming pool or like a big workshop or something like that out back. But I don't want to spend money on that. I would rather spend my money on other things, and so it's just big empty space that I have to mow. And occasionally bring somebody out to spray stuff on it so it doesn't turn into a mudslide.
Look, some people have a treadmill and a girlfriend. I have this. Get some exercise, got to spend money on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what's going on here. I'm not going to bore anybody with that. It's just at a certain point, it's just very funny to raise that as though it is the excitement. So the joke is that I'm torturing people with the boredom around it. So,
but no, like per what David said, like we have concrete proof that actually makes for a kick-ass video game. So there's an excellent case to be made for sharing the boring stuff.
No, yeah. Oh, you mean Stardew, like Ben said. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll see. It'll probably cost a lot of money. So that'll be a bummer, but oh well. It's better than it's better than having my house wash away when the foundation erodes. So
yes.
I want you to know that if Cole had not corrected you, I totally would have taken credit for that.
I didn't mean that was not to take it away from you. That was to make sure everything goes in. You would do the same for me. Yes. I know he wouldn't do the same for me.
No, I'd probably wait till a break because I'm a gentleman.
No, but I was talking about David.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm kidding. We should probably talk about video games so this doesn't spiral out of control. And to do that, we have to have a regular kind of show. What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with the grind? The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. David, you've been away the longest, so I will throw to you.
Super new or anything. I've been continuing on with Idle Champions, and since that's probably the most like samey game ever by design, I just want to highlight one of my favorite features of it, which is the incredibly tenuous like mission objective justifications.
Sure.
So in between like boss fights, so like, you know, it's 4 levels and then a boss fight level. There's basically 3 possible objectives. Some of them are like defeating, like kicking down a wall or something where you're just attacking it, but most of them are either, you know, defeat a certain number of enemies or defeat enemies and collect a certain number of drops. And it's that second one that I really like because they come up with just these completely ridiculous reasons why it is important to your adventure to, collect these tchotchkes.
Okay.
And so, like, one of them is you're going through this, this, like, dungeon. It's like, oh, man, you know, this crypt really hasn't been kept up. There's a lot of, like, you know, broken tiles and stuff all over the place, and good footing's really important for a fight. So you need to collect up all the tiles.
So they're having fun with it.
Right. Similarly, there's one where you, like, get into this tavern and there's a bar fight, and so you're collecting chairs so that you could get a table in this, like, busy tavern.
Okay.
So it's just completely ridiculous nonsense, excuses to be like, yeah, we have to come up with something.
Right.
So, I love it. So, in maybe more exciting news, I took your advice on Elden Ring and headed south and, kind of did a sweep through of the, the Weeping Peninsula, I think?
Yeah, south of Lingrave. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's interesting. It's hard to talk about things obviously without spoilering.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because it's the closest I've seen so far to kind of a self-contained story area.
Yeah.
In that there's very explicitly kind of an enemy type that is indicative of the area and, like, you know, motivations for what they're doing, and, you know, you're kind of getting involved. And then, you know, a, you know, traditional Bloodborne / Soulsborne style, you know, quest of, like, go and talk to these people that for some reason are completely not bothered by the fact that they're just standing in the middle of, like, an active combat zone.
Yeah. No, that's usually the way it goes. But both of the ones that you're talking about. Yeah.
I do like that one of them you can recruit to be your summon for the boss fight, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens at a few points. They're really, really generous with summons. Just NPC summons in addition to spirits and co-op and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm interested to see how some of these story bits get together. I've seen that there's definitely you drop an item when you defeat the boss that seems to kind of clue in on one of the, I don't know, it seems like one of the motifs in this game is just going to be kind of playing cut and paste with various things to make things. So yeah, that's been fun. And then after that, headed back to Stormwind, Stormvale?
Yeah, Stormvale.
Like the most generic fantasy name ever.
Yeah, Stormvale. To get did you head back to the castle?
Yes. So I beat the kind of initial boss finally.
So you beat Margit. There we go. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm now kind of exploring the area proper, and one of the things I've really been concerned about is that, to me, the Soulsborne games are all about the kind of the dungeon delving, the various twisty passages and ambushes and traps and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And up to that point, there really hadn't been any of that.
Yeah,
but definitely Stormveil doubles down on that pretty heavily.
Stormveil is the first of what they call a legacy dungeon in the game.
Okay.
And I think that's a weird name. It's weird to just call it, to give it a special name. That is, legacy dungeons are the closest that you get to like a full on, level from a Dark Souls or Demon Souls kind of thing, except it's gigantic. So it's like 2 or 3 of them together.
Yeah. It's, at least this one, it's interesting because they really, double down on the kind of Soulsborne, like halfway platforming, halfway abusing the geometry type thing.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of just like walking along rooftops and like, I can drop down to this ledge that totally couldn't support me, but technically, as long as 1 foot's on it. And like, as far as I can tell, it seems like that's the intended way to play it. Like there's very much, paths that will just take you and drop you in front of one of those sorts of things. So I don't think I'm breaking the system.
No.
Although, maybe I am.
Them adding
the Soulsborne ethic has always been, hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, if it's in the game, it's in the game. I think that's Electronic Arts motto. Them adding the jump button really gave them permission to go ham on weird level design. At least as far as that, you eventually Stormveil is a good way to learn the ways, like the rules that it is expecting you to learn, because its architecture is going to end up being pretty it's going to be featured a lot, like that kind of level design. So I would say pay attention, and even go back to some places you've already been, because as somebody who had come to this from older Soulsborne games, you probably thought, no, there's no way I can do that. And actually there is in some of these other places.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. There are some pretty good, tricks in it. The whole, initial, thing where you find an NPC and they're like, hey, why don't you go this way? Go both ways that you can go are very entertaining and fuck with you in very different ways. The 2 things I'd see so far that I'm not completely sold on is, one, they're all of the flying enemies.
Yeah, that is a common concern. You're not alone there.
Yeah, I like the idea of it, and the enemy design, specifically of the flying enemies in Stormveil, are very cool, very strong designs. But from a gameplay standpoint, it just doesn't seem to work that well, especially because the game can't count on you using a specific weapon that is able to reach the flying enemies well.
Yeah. It feels like a check on, hey, do you have ranged capabilities?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The other one I'm not quite sure on is the full plate mail or full plate knights in this. Just I don't know, is the, I can't quite figure out, are the dodge mechanics a little more clunky this time around, or are the enemies just have much better tracking, or something just to me feels off on the combat with those enemies.
I think maybe their tracking might be pretty high. Like, I don't think that the dodging, maybe in comparison to Bloodborne, the things are a little bit more clunky, just because that is more about quick
flash.
Right. That is more about quick steps, and this has like the quick step back, but you're doing the roll. But you played Dark Souls 3. This feels pretty comparable to that. I think that the large enemies, I think that they do have almost like Dark Souls 2 style tracking on some of their attacks. So it ends up being less about like knowing where to dodge to when they are in the middle of an attack animation, and knowing like at what point you will be safe with your iframes no matter where they end up landing, so it's more about timing than picking a direction to go, I guess.
That makes sense. Yeah, at least so far I haven't found a, for lack of a better word, like a good or reliable way to fight them. It tends to be just, either do a various method of like cheesing them, or just like load up like an ultra great sword and slug it out.
Yeah.
But I have not quite decided on what I want, what build I want to go with, because I've been doing the arcane build, which is very cool, but I also really love me some ultra great swords. So,
do you mind if I give you a bit of a spoiler on mechanics?
Sure, go for it.
This is for everybody as well, so understand maybe for the next minute or so. Respecs in this game, they're not free, but they're plentiful, and you will get to them after the next major area. You'll get that ability. So you have a good amount of like latitude, so don't feel like you're making a commitment by or making a mistake by working with the build you have right now, because you'll be able to back out of it and move into something else if you find another piece of gear.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah,
I guess for the current build, I'd be interested to know what's your feelings. If I'm doing an arcane build and I've got enough, I'm not overburned, that sort of thing, is it just dump everything into arcane until you reach the diminishing returns cap, or do dex and strength still matter, or how does that generally?
I've never really messed around. So when you say arcane, are you talking about like the luck stat that they have, or are you talking about intelligence, so you can be like a battle mage kind of caster kind of guy?
The luck stat.
Okay. I've not fucked around with that, because that was not functional when I started the game. That actually they fixed that in a patch that came out like a week and a half ago as of the time we're recording here. So I haven't fucked around with it, but what I would say is, like with any of those, what you want is to make sure that you're not neglecting a physical damage stat. Like it doesn't need to be bumped up as high. It doesn't need to be kept equal, but like, roughly where you have your vitality right now is where you want to have your strength or dex, whatever kind of weapon you're running with.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's funny, Cole, you spark a pang of anxiety in me when I hear like, oh yeah, they fixed that in a patch, or that got rebalanced. Because as someone who's waiting until I have a PS5 to play the game, there is absolutely this, like, playing the OG build is sometimes a different experience than playing later stuff. And so, knowing I'm going to be coming to the game with some of the rough edges sanded off is bittersweet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things. There are trade-offs. There's stuff that they're definitely going to nerf. There are builds and damage types that are just going to be overpowered, that they're going to take into account and stuff. But like, you'll get a better experience. I think by and large.
Like, I won't have to deal with nearly as much bullshit, but then again, the entire Souls experience is dealing with bullshit. So,
yeah.
In a very positive way. Said with love in my heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like to not be there for every build is a little again, it's bittersweet. So like it is nice to know that it is they're making the game better even after launch, and they're fixing ways that people can invade your game and make your life hell. But misery builds memories, right?
Yes.
So speaking of the bullshit it makes you survive, has it always been a thing that tumbling in poisonous water makes you get poisoned quicker?
Since 2, yeah.
Okay, I do not remember that.
Yeah, it increases the surface area that it touches, yeah.
Okay, yeah, usually my modus operandi for fighting poison enemies is I just get poisoned. It's like, you fucked up now. I've got nothing to lose.
Ooh, this towel can only get so wet. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, in that case, rolling around in the poison will help you get there faster.
That's true. Is there any sort of, it's always a from game thing of like what actually happened as a game mechanic versus is just weird coincidence or whatever. Is there anything like in Neo where your healing potions can get poisoned?
No, not as far as I know. Not that I've seen.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, sorry you don't have any more answer on that, but that
just wasn't sure.
Yeah, it was probably a coincidence. Something got you got splashed with something before you could heal. Yeah.
Something like that. So
yeah.
Sweet. So that's mainly what I've got with Elden Ring. Just kind of continuing on, having no idea what's going on.
Yeah, that'll happen. No, you've got really good stuff ahead of you. It's a very good game.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be interesting to see. This seems like by far the most mainstream of the these sorts of games, so I'm interested to see what that results in.
I mean, briefly, can you quantify what makes it feel more mainstream to you?
It just seems like I'm seeing a lot more like say like memes about it, stuff like that, getting shared by people that I wouldn't consider like quote unquote hardcore gamers.
Right. Okay. So you're not saying that like there's something intrinsic about the game. There's like, oh yeah, they really mainstreamed this. What you're saying is like this seems to have broken through more.
Yeah. I mean, I do think like there's a lot less, for lack of a better word, like bullshit challenge in this. Like I do think they have legitimately like taken out a lot of the like made it much more approachable.
Yes.
In good ways.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think that is true, but no, I mainly mean just it seems like people are playing it that aren't necessarily people that would be, I don't know, clued in on like the Soulsborne cult.
Yeah, it's definitely really popular. It sold crazy well. So it makes sense that it would be breaking out of its usual kind of group.
So I'm interested both to see like how does that continue to impact game development, and also like what does From do with all the money?
I have no idea. Boy, I can't wait to see what lessons people pull from this. Because it just those years right after Dark Souls came out and after it became real popular, just studying Souls likes and playing them. Studying is the wrong way to say that, but just paying attention to them and seeing like, okay, is this the magic? Is it these couple things mixed with this new thing? No. Is this the magic? No. Yeah, I'm very, very excited to see what kind of ripple effects this has.
So that a little bit segues into the kind of the last big thing I've been playing, which is the most adorable Souls-like I've ever played, which is Tunic.
Okay, the Dennis was talking about this last week.
Raving, more like, but yes.
Yeah, glowing.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I feel like, yeah, most of what I can probably say is just going to be retreads of what everyone says, which is like the game is both adorable and excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing that maybe would be an interesting thing to say that struck me is the degree to which it feels a lot like a Souls-like, or Soulsborne, whatever you want to call it.
Do you think that that's because it is hearkening to the original Zelda, and that's kind of an antecedent to, to Dark Souls kind of thing?
That's what I'm wondering, because like I'm sure there's been people who have done like their thesis YouTube video, maybe people named like Kole and Gary, about how Zelda is like, the original, I don't know, one of the influences. But like that's never something that that's never something that was obvious to me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this, I think it's interesting the degree to which it very much is not just like vaguely Zelda like. It very much is a modernized Zelda game.
Yeah.
And how much that feels like a Souls-like.
Yeah. I think that I haven't played it, Dennis. You can tell me if this comports with your experience, but I think that a big part of that is, because playing Dark Souls alongside the wiki is such a common way to do it. The fact that Tunic has you filling out the instruction manual as you unlock stuff, that kind of builds that experience into the thing itself. So, that process of uncovering the mystery, either being codified outside or inside the game, I think is a big is a big part of it. At least in the way the game communicates, kind of a widening possibility space with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's less specific to the instruction manual as the vehicle for that, and it's more the type of game where working out how all the systems interact and what everything does is as much a part of the game as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a very Soulsy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have to say from an art style standpoint, all of the art is great. I think the art in the manual really, really is a step above. It really captures the look of like the Zelda 1 and 2 manuals.
So there has to be a physical version of this manual available somewhere to buy, right?
I would imagine that's coming pretty soon, if not on Fangamer, then on a site like Fangamer.
Yeah, that will be amazing. I don't want to see any parts of the manual before I find them in the game.
Right.
However, once I am finished with the game, I could easily see myself picking that up.
Yeah. No, I would be surprised if that doesn't come. I mean, even unofficially, maybe an Etsy of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
David, something I talked a lot about last week and has only my appreciation for has only deepened as I've gotten further in the game, is the extent to which they hide things in plain sight.
Oh yeah.
And it just the confidence that takes from the dev to have mechanics and ways to unlock things and secret passageways and everything that you can just stumble upon at any point. But if you miss them for long enough, eventually the manual will point them in your direction, is really cool. And it just makes anything feel possible at any time. And it's kind of cool to see a little bit the game design threads where it's like, okay, like, when I find this page, I could it's very obscure, but it's there. And I might notice that I could do it and experiment and find it. And then, 3 pages later, if that was enough, here's something that's a little more explicit. And then there's, pages that cross reference each other in the manual. It's just really well done. And it, even though, the game feels very, very bespoke and, it's not a gigantic open world. It feels like it's full of possibility just because you could stumble on those things at any point.
Yeah, that's a distinctly NES style feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the, I guess you could even say kind of more explicit or more embodied instances of that is a lot of the shortcuts are kind of I've heard it called TV tropes. Thing for it is behind the black, the whole thing where it's like there are passages that your character could trivially see, but from the fixed perspective of the player, you can't
Yes.
see.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And so there's all these things where like the secret passage you unlock, Bloodborne or whatever style, wasn't ever locked to begin with. It's just you couldn't actually see it from the perspective you were in, and so you don't know to like try to walk into this wall or whatever.
Unless you arbitrarily press the enemy lock button at random times, which shifts the camera angle slightly and kind of clues you into
You
where
did
some
say
stuff
that.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game is a delight. It even pulls I hesitate to call this a spoiler because there's so much craziness, but maybe a slight spoiler that it even pulls some Dark Souls style, like, oh, we told you, or it seemed like there were this many of the thing, and
yeah.
you get through this place, and now there's actually this many, and it's different than you thought, and it's that expands even further the feeling of just everything is possible and discoverable.
Nice. Yeah. Does that feel? I mean, when they do that, does that feel like a cheap trick, just kind of like a rug pull, or is it kind of in good fun?
It was a cool moment when I discovered it. I'm thinking of like one specific thing.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, no, it doesn't feel cheap at all. And even like looking back, once I know the difference, I can see like, oh, well, maybe that's why I saw it. There were hints to it. But like in the manual, they started off very obscure and get clearer and clearer until they make it explicit.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a excellent game. I may or may not be looking for patterns to do a cosplay. So
Nice.
You can make a Tunic.
exactly.
That was the easiest one I could do. Sorry, I rushed it.
Oh no! I appreciate this.
Oh, nice. Did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Cool. Well, Dennis, since you kind of bled over onto that, how about you? Anything more to say about Tunic, or do you got other stuff?
No, I think my experience has stayed consistently good as I've continued to play it. So I'll go on to other stuff, and we're gonna have the ultimate like double segue combo here because I have been playing a game that Ben has been playing. So I'll talk about that last, and we'll just chain it right through. Yeah. So I've been playing Tunic. That's been great. I also started dipping my toes into Forza Horizon 5.
Oh yeah, that game's good.
And it is super good. I don't know. I had a hankering for a racing game, and that has to be one of the strongest openings, not just to a racing game, but to any game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Just so cool and just gets you so excited for what this game is all about. It starts with a cargo plane flying across Mexico and just, drops a car out the back. And then you do this big section of a race, and it's been exciting. It also serves as a tutorial, and you're flying down the side of a volcano, and then it like switches back to the cargo plane, which drops another car out in another area. And it does that like, a couple different times, almost giving you a tour of all the cool shit you're going to do. And just like, that is so inspired, so well done. And my jaw dropped then because you go to character creation, which was funny and anxiety inducing at the same time, because the format is like, hey, we're going to introduce our superstar, and then you go backstage to create your character who's about to walk out. And if you take too long, the announcer starts making like embarrassed banter about, these superstars, keep you on your toes, and like
I hate that.
it's getting awkward that you're not finished. And so me, who wants to like browse through all the hairstyles and stuff, is like, shut up, I'm trying to play dress up.
Just mute it, dude.
Yeah. Can I lose? Are you gonna fail me if I take too long? But other than that stress-inducing event, just the opening to the game really made a splash and an impression. And yeah, it got me thinking. I almost made the question about like what opening to a game, really impressed you or whatever. But that first impression is so important, and they absolutely nail it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, did you say Forza?
Yep, Forza Horizon 5. Are you supposed to say it Forza? I feel like I hear people say it Forza.
Language is about communication. I don't know if there's a supposed to.
Yeah, that's fair.
See, that just reminds me of all of the messages in freaking Elden Ring. Behold, Fortnite.
Yep.
Like, I want to find you and hurt you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I would feel weird saying Forza. Because just putting a little too much sauce on that Z. I would feel corny as hell. So I just say Forza. It's fine. People know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that works. So that's been a lot of fun and cool to get into a racing game. I drifted away from Trackmania for a little bit, so I haven't played a racing game in a while.
It's tough to think of two racing games that would be more different than those two.
Yeah, no, so much so. They are. And it was like, ooh, I've got the racing itch now. I'm going to go back to Trackmania. And I'm like, man, I mean, I still love it, but yeah, they are very different tastes, and I'm not sure they taste great together because like the demanding precision of Trackmania and the like, woohoo, we're all family, let's have some fun of Forza. Is just very, very different.
Forza Horizon specifically is more. I mean, it's even more expressive than like Burnout Paradise, which is like the closest game that I could think to compare it to outside of the Horizon franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a very apt comparison.
Yeah,
down to like going around and finding all the road signs to bust through.
Yeah.
Oh, so it is like open world and all that?
Yeah,
It's open world. You're gonna spend as much time driving to the races as you are racing. Which, right now, because there's a ton of collectibles and interesting stuff to see, and they do a really good job with having impressive vistas to drive through. So there's been several ooh-ah moments. Just going over a hill and seeing like a field with balloons floating above it and stuff like that. Because the story is it's all a giant festival. I haven't minded that now. I feel like once I've explored the map a little bit more, I'm going to go hunting for the quick travel button, which I assume is in there. I haven't looked for it because, like I said, it's fun to drive from place to place.
Mm-hmm.
But it will feel inconvenient at a certain point once I've kind of learned the world a little bit more. If they don't have it.
Once the sense of discovery is down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. I am playing that with cloud streaming.
Oh, how's that working?
Fairly good. This has been the first xCloud game where I've noticed a little bit of delay.
Mm-hmm.
I remember trying what's the Sony racing series where you have like dirt bikes and monster trucks?
Dirt. No, not Dirt. No. I know what you're talking about.
It's Extreme.
Yeah.
It's whatever that one, the third entry in that series I tried playing on PlayStation Now when I had it, and it was just unplayable. And it felt like you were guiding a boat through water, and that, instead of turning the wheel and feeling the vehicle respond, you kind of like turn the rudder and you wait for it to start getting momentum going the way you want.
You're giving it suggestions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that broke the game for me on PlayStation Now. I can feel a little bit of that in Forza Horizon occasionally,
mm-hmm.
but overall it hasn't been very noticeable. And so, completely playable. And I think, again, I could never play Trackmania on this, but Forza is forgiving enough that I can do that. And impressively, the graphical fidelity has been extremely good. I was worried that I would get, screen tearing or things wouldn't be readable if there were hiccups in the streaming, just because stuff flies by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
But if anything, I guess that's it's been less noticeable. And I've been very happy with that. So that's Forza Horizon. super good time, a nice palate cleanser of a racing game.
Nice.
So I have a question about this because like IGN gave this a 10 out of 10, which they don't give a lot of games that review to. Yeah, and I had actually played a bit of this, like I think I don't know, sometime in December or so, because it was at a friend's place, and so I was curious, like, what puts this above other racing games, or like what sort of like what does this have that other things don't? Because I know it looks pretty, and I know there's a bunch of like events and stuff, but I didn't see how it kind of like transcended like other racing games or other open world racing games.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 10 out of 10 material. That might just be hype. I think for me, when I came to it, I was looking for something that was just kind of fun. You know, I didn't want to go play Trackmania. I wanted a racing game, but I knew Trackmania was going to be like challenging and take focus, and I just wanted to drive a cool car around a cool place, and listen to my music entirely too loud.
Yeah.
And Forza was that incarnate, especially with the splashy opening. I think it just hit the spot of what I needed or wanted in that moment very, very well. If I was looking for like, hey, I want like a really competitive racer, or if I want something more exacting, or if I want something more authentic, right? There are of course better options on all of those avenues. But in terms of the cop from the marketing people of the zoom, the joy of blazing around in a cool car, they do a really good job of that.
Okay.
No.
Also, the list of names that they have pre-recorded is jaw-dropping.
10 out of 10 jaw-dropping.
Yes, I had to scroll and scroll and scroll, and my name is the fourth letter of the alphabet. So I can't imagine the people who have names that are like start with Z are probably still scrolling. They haven't been able to play the game.
No.
So they don't have a good UI, it sounds like.
Were there any like weird ones? Like, I don't know, can it be like Mephistopheles or something?
Oh God, I have to go and look. Yeah. No, I didn't get that far. They do have, if they happen to not have your name, which is unthinkable given the length of the list I saw, they do have also an extensive section of nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just choose a nickname. And like every third nickname is a variant of bro.
Oh, geez.
So there's like the very first one is Abraham Lincoln.
I don't care for that one bit.
Bro Seth,
nope.
Broheim.
No.
Yeah.
Each one reduces it a letter grade. We're
10 out of 10.
But yeah, if it reduces every single one a letter grade, then they're going to zero out real quick, because there are a lot of nicknames and a lot of bro nicknames. So that was funny. But yeah, so that it's also cool to have just like, hey Dennis, when they contact you over the comm.
Yeah. Well, it'd be a little spooky, is what it would feel like. To me, anyway. I just would what the hell? Nobody talks to me.
Yeah, you can choose Brotato.
God damn it.
Stop, you're going to make us angry.
And Dayman.
Oh, okay, Dayman. I like Dayman.
Dayman. Sure.
For me, it feels like a really good approximation of Burnout Paradise, which is like a real pretty game in a gigantic, fun to explore place that does very little to get in the way of you getting into really fast and exciting races. Like just from
The key difference is in Burnout, when you crash, it's like, oh, you're playing a crashing mini game now.
Yeah.
In Forza, when you crash, you can press a rewind button and go back a couple seconds to alter your line, which is a very elegant solution versus like a restart or a checkpoint respawn or any of that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's the one thing I was going to say that I really loved about Burnout Paradise that I haven't seen anywhere else is the whole like crash being a feature.
Yeah. That's a Burnout thing. And then Criterion, the company that makes that made Burnout, they've been in the Need for Speed mines for forever and ever. So
yeah, that's a waste of their talent. Need for Speed just needs to, and sorry to anyone who loves it, but that series has never excited me, and it's only made me think about when are they going to do another Burnout.
When you were wondering the Sony off-road racing game, were you thinking of MotorStorm?
Thank you.
There we go.
Yes,
okay,
there it is. Which is excellent in its own right. I just did not like the vehicle that I played it by when I got to the third one.
Nice.
Yeah, so racing games, fun. I've also been using xCloud on my phone.
Okay.
And they have a surprisingly wide selection of games that are tap to play. So essentially, you can load into xCloud straight from your phone. And then they just do an overlay of buttons on the side, like you would see in other mobile games. And that serves as your controller.
Mm-hmm.
You can also pair a Bluetooth controller to your phone. And I tried that once, but I realized it's super awkward to try to put your phone screen somewhere you can see it reliably. And,
the solution that I've seen is either to do a video out from it, which kind of defeats the point, or to get kind of a bracket. That there are brackets that'll hold the phone above your existing Bluetooth controller, or do what I do.
Yeah.
Get one of those like Backbone or like a Razer Kishi, any of those ones that the phone just kind of sits down into. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there are peripherals and solutions for it. I haven't dipped my toe in that deep yet, but I did go find games that are that work well for that, because they definitely have some games that are tap to play that are not very conducive.
Right.
And this is where, the ability of the machine to stream efficiently kind of gets stretched. But I found Dicey Dungeons.
Oh, that game rules.
Oh, that's a great game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's oh gosh, who makes that?
I wish I knew off the top of my head. Let me see here.
Don't worry, I'm looking it up. Tell me about tell the nice people. Oh, that's Terry Kavanagh, the Super Hexagon developer.
Yeah. Yes, there we go. Okay. It is, it's excellent. And very fun. So it is to dice rolling games, dice pool building games, what Slay the Spire is to deck building games.
Run-based dice combat roguelike kind of thing, where you are rolling dice for combat, but also your dice are kind of your characters and determine your movesets. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really went in expecting to see like rolling these little guys around, but aside from them being, a person being turned into a die at the start of the game, that has no impact, like that nothing happens there. You never actually roll yourself.
Yeah.
It seems completely arbitrary, but you do roll lots of dice, and that's always fun. And like you said, the classes start out pretty basic and then get crazy real quick. So that you start with your warrior, your thief, a witch. Ooh, starting to get interesting. A robot. Oh, okay. And then an inventor, which is all very, very fun.
The dad of the robot.
Impressed.
Invention is the inventor, dad of the robot.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually the case. It's just funny that they have both of them in there.
It's in the subtext. They'll save it for the next sequel. But yeah, I was very impressed. That they all have varied abilities and different ways. You can use the dice to just straight up deal damage. You can use the dice to build towards a number and all these different things. You have abilities that require evens or odds. All the stuff that you could think of if you were going to make a dice rolling game. But then the thing I was impressed with is how quickly the game got into experimenting with the way that you roll. Mm-hmm. And just the way that you also house and change your abilities. So the robot, for example, instead of rolling your pool of dice up front and then choosing from it, you roll one die at a time, and you just have a target number. And if you hit that number exactly, you get a jackpot and all these different bonuses. If you go over, you have an error and you can't play any more dice. Mm-hmm. And so it's this game of like rolling up as close to that number as you feel comfortable doing as much as you can with those dice, and then being like, okay, let's keep on pulling the trigger and see what else I can get before I kind of error out.
Yeah. You're pressing your luck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you can take items and abilities that are like immune to errors, and that gives you a little more freedom to push your luck, etc. You can expand your jackpot range. Like, there's all these really cool ideas that are born out of a very unique way to just do rolling dice. There's other, like the inventor, at the end of every battle, you scrap one of your pieces of equipment, and that becomes like a hero power, effectively, like an ability that's always available to you in the next battle. But that means you're constantly rotating out what your build is and what's available to you. And so, like, if you get something really good, you never want to scrap it, but that means, your options become more limited, and scrapping it might give you something really powerful. And so, like, just the way they play with all of the not UI features, but all the different systems that you could interact with is really cool. I haven't gotten too far into the effectively the Ascension run equivalents. If you're familiar with Slay the Spire, like the more difficult runs once you beat the game at its base level with each character. Rather than just, making the numbers higher or the enemies more difficult, it seems like there's, unique modifiers that each run has put on it. So I haven't explored those too much, but it's an interesting take. Instead of just, hey, this is the thing that you loved but harder, it's now, forcing you to really, really change your strategy. Whereas I think Slay the Spire, the Ascension levels and the more difficult runs kind of just gradually make everything more difficult and demanding as you learn the game better and better. This is almost like a cool variant run that may or may not be more difficult. The one that I played, it felt pretty easy. It was just, interesting and creative how you had to approach it. So
yeah, I will always appreciate the difficulty that gets better through variants rather than just number go up. Yeah. What were you going to say, David?
So what I recall, and tell me if I'm remembering this correctly, is that those kind of Ascension things also play into the, I guess for lack of a better word, plot, in terms of, like, there is, banter between you and, was it the sorceress or whatever?
Lady Luck.
Yeah. And like, it is, it's something like you have to be all, I don't know, 10 things in order to get a wish, or there's some conceit like that.
Yeah, they tell you if you win, you spin the wheel, and if you get a star, you get your wish granted, and the wheel is 90% stars, but it always lands on the one skull.
Oh, it's a cute game. Yeah. I think. I think Monster Train is on is on xCloud too. So when you're done with that,
I actually dipped into that a little bit. Not enough to talk about, except to say it didn't super duper grab me.
Okay.
I did maybe 2 or 3 runs.
I'm sorry.
And another game.
I think I hear something on the line. I think Dennis should give it another shot. Yeah, I think Dennis would like it if he gave it a chance.
I'm getting a feeling that I might not have explored it enough in my time.
No, I'm just being funny. That's the one of these games that is. Go ahead.
Used to play as the little candle dudes. Those
oh, really?
You have to unlock the little candle dudes.
Shit.
Yeah.
Is everyone Team Candle here? I actually don't like the candle race that much.
Ooh.
I like the oh shit. It's been too long.
Oil race, demon race, spell race.
I like spell and plant, main spell and then sub plant. Yeah.
Okay.
I like the candle people, and there's one where your champion is the little Stitch guy.
Yeah, that's the spell. That's the blue guys. Yeah, I'm not honestly saying you should play something that didn't grab you. I'm just that is the one of these kinds of games that I really like. That kind of grabbed me, so I'm always trying to get people get people into it.
I like the platform that is Monster Train, but I don't like much of the iterations of like any of the races on Monster Train. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a fair way to say it.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to encapsulate, like,
I like how we all dogpiled and talked about a game that Dennis was not talking about.
That's entirely my fault. You don't need to.
Guess we're doing this.
No, you don't need to justify yourself, Dennis. Please understand.
No, I feel you. So I did enough runs to unlock the first new factions. I think I did 2 runs. One with the horn demons as the main faction, and then the other with the plant demons as the main faction. Mm-hmm. Then I found Dicey Dungeons and got taken down the rabbit hole on that.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
But like I said, there is a surprisingly good selection of games that are effectively phone games on the service. Mm-hmm. And to be able to kind of tour through those as I'm working around the house or doing whatever just on my phone is pretty great.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Ben, you ready for the alley-oop?
Yeah.
You inspired me. I started playing Titanfall 2.
Oh, all right. Cool.
Had you played it before?
The game that's never getting a sequel.
Yeah, no, I'd never played it before. I knew Titanfall was a franchise that people raved about. And then hearing from Ben, I'd seen the Titanfall 2 was on Game Pass. I was like, all right, I gotta.
And you played and enjoyed their Battle Royale, right?
Mm-hmm. Apex, yeah. I'd still play that with friends from time to time. Yeah. So it is really funny to do that backwards, to play Apex first and then go back and see like the original weapons in Titanfall 2. Because it's so dumb. Like, the R201 in Titanfall 2 became the R301 in Apex.
Yeah.
The double take became the triple take. And it's like, dog, there's a pun in there that you're ruining. What can you do? It is a really strong shooter. Respawn knows how to make good games of that genre. And I've been surprised by how strong the campaign is. I've been playing through the story. I haven't touched the multiplayer yet. And Ben, I don't know. Talk to me about multiplayer if you've touched it.
I have not. No.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm going to do that. I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but yeah.
I'm sure it's also kind of a ghost town by this point. I mean, game's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Don't be so sure. I think I would be worried about the opposite. I'm not worried about long times to find a match because I know it's got a really dedicated community. I'm worried about like everyone there is god tier.
Yeah, it'll be old.
You can still find matches in Modern Warfare 2, but yeah, it's the same imbalance that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I want to go be new at Titanfall 2 multiplayer.
Not in 2022.
How far in the campaign are you?
I just beat Viper, the flying Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The game does set pieces really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me, I think we've been spoiled for set pieces because the, graphics have gotten good enough and machines have gotten powerful enough that you can do these big cinematic things, easy. It's like, that's the cost of entry. But it's really funny to see how much the game is organized around the set pieces, and how, thinking even just 5 years ago, how much kind of more impressive that would have felt to be like, oh, I'm going on top of that satellite dish. I am jumping across these different planes flying through the sky. It's like that. If I see a satellite dish, I assume I can get to it in any game nowadays.
What if I was in a level that assembled other levels?
Yeah.
That part I feel like is so complicated, and the entire time I was playing that level, it's like, man, there's so many cases they had to take into account because the player could be anywhere in this rectangle.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also just like I at that point it's like I don't understand any of what is happening here, but it's cool. The moving pieces are fun to see in action. So that is a lot of fun. But I feel like I'm getting close. I'm getting voice lines of like, let's finish our mission and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, it's nice
You're
to
not
see
far
the
from
game.
the end.
Yeah, it does not stay its welcome. I think that was a detriment, or considered a detriment at launch. At least I remember people whining about that. But obviously nowadays, that's like, oh, fantastic! I can get through this game in a couple hours. Sweet.
You're getting it for $7. Like a fun 6-hour joyride is absolutely a steal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying it gets in and finishes its mission.
Exactly.
But I could see if somebody bought it at launch. If it was like, I don't know how much it was at launch, but if it was like $60 or something, I could see people being a little bit bummed about that.
Yeah.
And I forget if was it they launched without multiplayer, or at launch they initially weren't going to do a campaign even, and then
I thought they had both at launch, but I don't remember.
Yeah, there was lots of belly aching at the time, so it's nice to see that as that's mellowed, the game seems to stand up pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The traversal is excellent, and I think I belly ached about Mirror's Edge a couple of weeks ago, where I tried it and was like, oh, this is unplayable. This is not fun. The first person perspective parkouring does not work as well as I want it to. They make it work really, really well in Titanfall.
Was that the OG Mirror's Edge that you're talking about?
I tried Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which I think it's like a reboot-ish.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. But yeah,
neither could they.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree that the movement's good in the game. I do think it's kind of funny the number of different kind of shoehorned environmentals that cater to the wall jump and then jump like 15 feet forward sort of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is a world of corridors with 2-story high walls for you to run along.
Yeah, that alternate where the walls are placed on either side.
They had the exact same thing in Jedi Fallen Order, so I'm having flashbacks to that. It's like,
gotcha.
Same developer. Yeah.
But it's the gameplay that's there is solid, and I don't blame them at all for making environments that cater to that. Like,
it's fine. It's a mild annoyance.
Not going to complain about immersion. So let's see.
Any standout levels for you that you played so far?
Oh gosh. Like I said, it's set piece after set piece. So the satellite dish kind of section was really fun. It felt a little more platformy. Mm-hmm. But specifically when you're getting basically there's a satellite dish you got to turn on. You got to go out and grab a part, come back, and then climb up the satellite dish to put the part in. The going out and coming back, I thought was excellent.
Oh, I see how it is. No one complains when Titanfall does climb the radio tower.
Yeah.
Because they do it once. They don't make you do it 100 times.
That section of the game felt like it spliced together the wall running and traversal and the combat a lot more closely than other sections of the game, even though it's pretty well mixed throughout. That was like you're constantly going back and forth between the two. And go ahead.
I was really impressed with the level design of like once you pick up the arc laser, how the entire run through the next one you could just solo with the arc laser if you wanted to get through the entire level without like firing a single bullet. I thought that was really cool. But you could do it either way. You could just like run through normally and it would be fine as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely invites you to speedrun it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And then I just did the whole, I mentioned it, you're hopping back and forth between planes that are flying, chasing down a spacecraft. Which is really funny to me, the idea that like, hey, here's this interplanetary spacecraft that's traveling, and it's going to take off. Instead of just hyperspacing out of here, it's going to like cruise the atmosphere for a half hour as you fire at it. Feels like this craft should be capable of not doing that. And I forget, it might be they were trying to take the thing somewhere on planet anyway, or whatever. But I think I was expecting to change planets for a game that's set in like a Star Wars-y kind of planet hopping deal. Maybe it's closer to Warhammer 40K. You're spending all your time on one planet.
Yeah.
Any favorite set pieces for you? You've beat it now?
Yeah. I thought I beat it last week when I talked about it.
Maybe you did. Yeah.
The one where the research lab was my favorite level.
Yeah.
The time hopping. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a cool gameplay mechanic with lore and world implications that are just completely not touched.
Yeah.
It would have been too much for them to integrate it more.
Yeah, it's like that would have been the 60-hour game.
I was okay with that. Like, as soon as at the end of the level, when the device breaks or whatever, when you like fall down or something, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, you don't need to do double work for the rest of the game.
Yep.
A studio tried that in 2010. It was called Singularity, and it was a fun game, but I wouldn't say it was a great game.
Yeah. So much polish in Titanfall 2, though. It's like, they like the level design in that specific level is really good, and they thought of a lot of really cool places. Again, same sort of convention that's kind of weird. There's one part where you jump between places, and there's like a platform every other or whatever.
Yep.
Like, doesn't make a lot of sense, like, why there would realistically be that in either of those places. Like, oh, did this magically get platforms in the future? Why in the past did it only have every other platform there and like an empty square? And like, whatever. But you just turn your mind off about that and just enjoy the game as it is. And it's pretty fun.
Yeah, there's one dumb gotcha in that level, which is you're ziplining down towards a platform and see that it's on fire. And so it's like, oh, easy. You know, I swap over to the future or past, I forget which, and I'm sure that fire won't be there. But psych, neither is the zipline.
Yeah.
Just drop to your death.
So you have to change right before you drop, I guess.
Yeah, jump off of it, or I think like you might be able to land on the platform without hitting the fire immediately, or something like that. It was just like I died, and I was like, okay, fine, like you got me.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, fun game. So that is my alley-oop to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I take it. I got some weird ones to talk about. I have 3 to talk about, so I'm going to get started, I guess.
Okay.
First one, I've been playing this for a little bit, but I was waiting to talk about it. I finally beat the game Portal Stories: Mel, which is a fan-made Portal game.
Yeah, it's like a fan-made follow-up to Portal 2, picking up after Portal 2 in difficulty and complexity and stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a siloed story about like an individual character. It takes place at the Aperture. I was about to say studios, but that's not it. Aperture Labs. It's fan made, so a lot of the assets are from Portal 2. But there are like people who did like video and artwork stuff, so there are some like new assets. It primarily has like 3 or 4 characters in it, mostly maybe like 1 or 2 voice actors. So anyway, it's like I think I played it for maybe about 20 hours or so it's like a decently sized game. The story, it's tough to like evaluate this game because it's very good for a fan-made game, so it's like A+ for a fan-made game, but then it's like B- for like a AAA game sort of thing. So it's like, it's really hard to compliment it or give it criticisms, because if you look at it through either of those lenses, then you're kind of being unfair. So basically, if this is a game where if you want to play more Portal and get like a new experience that you haven't had before, this could be it. Mostly I would play it for the puzzles and not the narrative. The narrative's fine and it's like serviceable. But it's certainly not as strong as any of like the Valve entries. And it's really tough to compete with those. And then that said, even though the puzzles are pretty good, like some of them aren't completely play tested as well. So there's a few places where you can solve puzzles and not even interact with like one of the components that I assumed they wanted you to interact with.
Oh, geez.
That only happened like maybe 2 or 3 times in my playthrough, and there's probably like, I don't know, like 50 different puzzles or something like that. So it's not something that's like glaring, and it's not something that's like terrible about the game, but it is just like a little bit rougher around the edges. I don't know. I guess I don't have like too many strong opinions on this, so I don't really want to talk about it too much longer. But are there any questions about Portal Stories, Mel?
Is there a big mechanical hook that kind of stands out to this to you? Like what does it do to kind of justify itself as an extension of the as an extension of the series.
Yeah, so you kind of bring up, because there's the other Portal, is like Portal Reloaded, or I forget the name of it. The one that had introduced the time portal was another fan-made Portal game that came out last year.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'm getting this confused with that one.
Yeah, and they're very close to one another, because like they have similar kind of rough around the edges, like narrative and like voice acting type stuff. But yeah, I don't have the name of that off the top of my head. I'll have to look that up later. Mm-hmm. Portal Reloaded. It was just Portal Reloaded.
Okay.
There isn't any new mechanics, though. It's strictly all the stuff that's in Portal 2, but they do touch on, I think, all the mechanics in that. So there's, like lasers, light bridges, the gel, things like that. And they actually do a few mechanics that I don't think they did in Portal 2. Like, for example, you can put gel on a light bridge, which I don't think you were ever did that in Portal 2.
Right.
And so there's a couple clever puzzles with, stuff like that. So anyway, basically, if you like the Portal games and you're okay with a little bit of jank around the narrative part, then this is an entry you can check out.
Cool.
So, and it's free, so that's like another thing too.
As long as you have Portal 2, probably. As long as you have Portal 2, probably.
I think I don't know. Huh? I mean, I have Portal 2, so I don't have a way to check that, but. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how they could release it, because it's independent from Valve. It's just like fan made.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of why it would need to be free. Otherwise, Valve would probably sue them. But yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to move on. I have 2 more games to talk about. The first one is a game called DARQ, spelled DARQ. This is a Eastern European game. It's a kind of like small bite-sized Limbo-esque game, in the sense that it's a very kind of like dark and depressing type atmosphere. The mechanics are way different, but it is like another 2.5D type game, like Limbo or Inside is.
Okay.
The main mechanic that's different to it is you can change your perspective, like of which way gravity is, meaning like you're walking along the floor and you come up to a wall, you can press the space bar and then you're walking on the wall now and the camera shifts. So this leads to some like really confusing maps that kind of keep track in your head, because sometimes you could be walking upside down on a ceiling of the same room that you've been in, but you can now reach something you couldn't reach before. Yeah. That's the main mechanic of it. But each level will kind of introduce a new mechanic that will be for that level only. Okay. That'll usually be something that's kind of like impressive or something really interesting or novel. And most of them are pretty distinct from one another. And I don't know, or just put a creative spin on like whatever the level is. Yeah. Just a couple examples is like they can be some other perspective changing things. One, for example, is a room that you're in, you could shift a room 90 degrees, or say it's like a room next to you. You could shift it 90 degrees along like the x-axis or whatever. So basically like you're looking at like a new side of the room.
Kind of doing like a Fez thing, but not around the outside of a thing, but the inside of a room. Yeah.
Yeah. And like another one, for example, is you can switch the camera like 90 degrees, rotate it. So like you have like a cross intersection of a street. So since it's like 2.5D, you normally just go along, one street, but you can shift it 90 degrees and go along the other street that you're on. And there's something different there. Yeah. Or you can rotate the camera 180 degrees and you can see things on the backside of the street that you couldn't see before.
Oh, that's funny. To the whole like hidden in the black thing.
Yeah, exactly. This is like a pretty short game and like kind of a pretty bite-sized game. I think it was on sale when I got it. So it was like, I think it was $4 when I got it. Mm-hmm. And the game is pretty short. I beat it in under 2 hours. So it's a really short game, but it is a pretty quality experience. They don't overdo any of the mechanics. So this is kind of something kind of different than Portal, where it's like Portal, you kind of get the hang of a lot of things and stuff is kind of a little bit slow moving. This, like nothing outwears its welcome. There's a lot of cool there's a lot of cool, like, interesting one-offs that they'll do too that are just kind of like basically like surprises in the game that are kind of fun, and they just do it once and they never do it again. So
that's cool. It almost has to be short if you're going to do that.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I was pretty impressed with this. It's a pretty well put together game. Pretty good puzzles that they have. And yeah, $4 for 2 hours. I think that was a good deal for me. So I'll throw that out.
Does it get demanding, or is it more just like you learn to read it with its perspective tricks?
There's only a few parts that are kind of like parts where you like die, have to restart sort of thing. Yeah. But it's not often enough that ever gets that annoying. But yeah, there's a few events where like you have to run, for example, like which I didn't even know there was a run key until like halfway through the game, because you typically don't need to like move that quickly. So yeah, there's a couple parts like that, but again, it doesn't really put a damper on the game as a whole. You kind of get past them pretty quickly. So, yeah, that's DARQ. Any questions about that game? Art style's really good.
Is your character Skinny Fester? Is that Uncle Fester that I see?
Kind of, yeah. It feels very like Burton-esque.
You sound so embarrassed.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of weird because it's like the character is very like, like gaunt and like, it's like in most of these games you kind of have this like a Hollow Knight type thing where it's like a cute and like goth sort of character. Mm-hmm. This is like that dude needs some food type. This is like this kind of like depressing, like, is this dude okay? Like, is he eating enough sort of thing?
Yeah.
So you don't have like a character that you're like, hooray, this guy or whatever. You're just kind of like, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but we're just going to do these puzzles.
Am I helping him?
I feel like the fact that he has no sclera or whatever, like that also should probably be a consideration.
Yeah.
What's a sclera?
The whites of the eyes.
Oh yeah, that is a problem. I thought his eyes were closed in the screenshot, but okay. It's got a real like James and the Giant Peach kind of feel to it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Claymation-esque.
Yeah. And I should say, one of the other cool things about each of the levels is they each take place in a very like bespoke location. So I'll just say one of them for an example is like one of them's like on a moving train,
okay,
but it's like a very old fashioned like gas powered type train. It's very gothic, So like that's another thing that really sets the mood of the game. Is it's just like all the setting is really cool.
Nice.
Gothic, a game called DARQ? You don't say.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna move on to my last game because this is a bigger one.
Okay.
I don't know how to bring this up. I started playing Dark Souls, guys.
Okay.
Wait, for the first time?
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I had played it for a bit and bounced off. I got into the bridge demon and like this game sucks. I don't want to have to look up how to fight a boss. I hate this. I quit.
Yeah.
I've played like 2 different characters now. I put in like maybe like 30 to 40 hours in the past week playing this game. So I think I'm like halfway through the game.
Okay.
And like I did a lot of so first character, I looked up some like, hey, what's a good character to use to go through this game? Like, so it's not as much friction. Everyone kind of suggested the Pyromancer, so I tried that. The flame or whatever at the beginning is very helpful. That helps you like take down things without having to like worry about parrying or dodging or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I had played for about 20 or 30 hours, moving really slow through like Undead Burg and the Undead Parish. I covered most of those areas and like beat everything there. But then I think I got to a point where I started to realize that there's an emphasis on upgrading weapons.
Yes.
And you need to kind of be careful about what weapon you're choosing and like how to upgrade it properly. Mm-hmm. And I had not done that at all. And so I started a new character after that, and started going through with that. And so I started a cleric. And I focused on upgrading like the mace and having that be my main weapon.
Okay.
So on my second run through, what I thought was really cool. So my first run through, I think I got to like level 30. Part of that was like farming in the middle, which was, it is what it is. But I was really happy with the second playthrough. Like I cleared Undead Burg and Undead Parish really quickly, like within like an hour or two. And you're like, oh, okay, if you know what you're doing or if you understand like how these enemies work, it's not like the game's locking you out if you're at a certain level. Like you can actually handle these things if you know what you're doing. So that was pretty rewarding. I focused on the mace. Because it's one of the only weapons that's ranked B, like that you can get early on.
It has good scaling out the gate.
Yeah, and it only relies on strength. And so you can just kind of dump points in that. So with that second build, I'm focusing on strength, endurance, and vitality, are like the 3 stats that I'm beefing up. Yeah. Okay. And then I started listening to Bonfire Side chat along with this as I've completed the areas.
All right.
So anyway, this is really like surreal to talk about because I'm playing a game that's like 10 years old and I'm listening to you and Gary from like 9 or 10 years ago.
Right.
So it's like, it's very weird. But I do like the game much better now than I did before. I kind of understand more like that it's not as like cheap or as not as fun as when I had my first time around. Like I kind of get the idea that if you plan things out correctly or if you kind of prepare ahead of time, you can actually manage these things. It's not just because you can get in a situation where you can get to a boss and there's not a way for you to win if you're like under leveled or if you don't have certain items or if you didn't prepare at all.
Certain people in the community would disagree.
Okay. But they have knowledge, right? They have an understanding of the game, right? And that's something that's like another part of the balance too. So I think why I was like so like butthurt about it early on is like I would get in those situations and I'm like, I was upset that like you could get in that state, I guess. But I kind of like am more forgiving now where it's like, okay, that's fine, but you can just plan out these things ahead of time. It's fine. So it still requires like a little bit of like, you need to go online and do a little bit of research of like, hey, what weapon should I shoot for? What build should I like go for or whatever, and do a little bit of planning for that. I've tried to avoid looking at any other guides that give any other information about the game because I do want to kind of explore things on its own. Because I will say one of the strong things about the game is when you get to a new area and you're looking for a bonfire and you have a shit ton of souls, there's not many other games like have that sort of like frantic experience where it's like, I don't know if I can get here again. So like, I really need to find a bonfire and like, I don't know. That's sort of like desperation. And
when you see the glow or when you hear the hum, it's like, oh, I know it's here. I know it's nearby. I just need to get to it.
Yeah. That's really cool. And like, there's some things in the game that are like a little bit that I still like have a little bit of qualms with, but it's like it's cool, but it's not cool. Like the bonfire in the grove, was it the Underwood Grove or whatever?
Dark Root.
Yeah. How you can see it from the boss bridge or whatever when you're looking down behind the wall, you can see the glow of it. But it's behind a wall that breaks if you hit it, but nothing has been that way to that point. So it's like, what the fuck, game?
That's your problem, is you're playing it late, so you have it literally every 5 feet past a message telling you to attack random wall.
And so that's like a weird thing too. So I'm playing this like in offline mode. So I've never been invaded. I've never invaded anyone else. Like that is an unknown part of the game for me. I feel safe if I revert to human. I don't like worry that someone's going to kick my butt or whatever. And I can like safely summon people if I want help on boss battles, which was like completely necessary for the church roof boss battle.
Yeah, the gargoyles will do that.
But yeah, a lot of weird like idiosyncrasies in this game. Like, why is it that you can chop off dragons' tails? I don't know, but I'm doing it.
They got they got a tail. I got an axe.
Yeah. So I think I'm about halfway through the game. Like, I've gotten to Blight Town, but I haven't gone completely through it yet. I haven't found the bonfire in it yet. I just got through the depths. Man, fuck that place. I did look up a map for that place, and I was
it's no
because
help.
Well, I mean, I avoided the snake pit in the depths by sliding to the left of that one place. But man, fuck that place. Like,
I feel like there's a weird thing where the course of someone's progression through Dark Souls 1 can be charted by how they feel about status alignment or status effects.
Okay.
So it's like, if the worst status effect in the game is curse, then, they're in the depths. After that, Blighttown, it's clearly poison is the worst thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then if curse is the best status alignment in the game, they're in, was it Anar Londo or whatever?
Oh, yeah, they're in New Londo ruins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have like bleeding and like poison hasn't been too bad. It's tougher for cleric as opposed to the pyromancer or whatever, since the pyromancer had like defense against that much more with their armor.
Yeah.
But there was one thing in Blighttown. It's like the barrels give you toxin or whatever. Toxic.
Yeah, it's not the barrels. Those are blow dart guys who will hit you with toxic darts.
Gotcha.
They're only in particular kind of like little avenues. So if you're being hit by those, try and see if there's another way around or another way down.
Oh man,
Gotcha.
if you don't like blow dart guys, wait till Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, and so that's like another weird thing too. I don't know what brought this on, if it was like me watching people play Elden Ring and be like, all right, let me give it another shot sort of thing. Might have been that, but toxin sucks. I got it once. I was able to heal my way through it.
Yeah.
But then I like I had no more like heals or whatever. So I was like very methodically like able to kill most of the people I came across for like maybe a dozen of them, but like lucky number 13, killed me. So
yeah.
Do they ever? Yeah. Does Dark Souls 1 ever have line of sight damage enemies?
No, it doesn't do frenzy.
Okay, because that was the most bullshit thing in particularly in
Bloodborne. Yeah, Bloodborne. It's unacceptable.
Also in 3.
That's a special like one dungeon kind of deal. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like if they just see you get damaged.
Yeah, yeah. Or it doesn't sound. It's a little bit more complicated, but roughly, yeah.
Yeah. I guess speaking more to the other strengths of the game, the map is just so good in this game.
Yeah.
I think you said this before, is like how the skyboxes are so good, and that kind of speaks to it as well. It's like the idea that you can see everywhere that you can go in the game, like from far away, and as you approach it, is so cool. And like when you're in the upper like Undead Berg, for example, and you can look down and you're like, oh, I wonder if I can get there, and then later you can. It's like, oh wow, this is really sweet. Yeah. And then that kind of goes along with the shortcut system of like how things connect back in on themselves, and like take entire loops of the game like out of the equation.
How awesome! I mean, like what did you think when you got into that elevator in the parish and went back down to Firelink?
So like I think that was like the second time that it happened, because I had before that taken the ladder down to the fire in the Undead Berg, and that was the first one that I had found, and I was like, oh wow, like that's nuts, like man, the Undead Berg is like such a good example of that game too, because like you spend so much time in it the first time you play through it, and you're just like inching your way through, and like restarting at the bonfire that's there is still like such a pain, because you're like, oh, I have to fight all these guys again. But like now at the point of the game, like even though I'm like crazy over leveled, but even if I were to play it again, like you can just whip through that in like 5 minutes, no problem, And then like the Black Knights, for example, there's one that's in the Undead Berg that's like a death sentence if you like mess with it the first time you're there. But like now I'm at the point of, even if I'm like under leveled and I see a Black Knight, like it's like, all right, just stay calm, like parry when you can, run away and heal like when you need to. And like so like in the, I think it was the Darkwood Basin or whatever, like I was able to kill the knight for the first time I saw him there.
Oh, the halberd one, yeah.
Yeah, when I went back to the asylum, I was able to kill a knight there the first time I saw it and didn't sweat it, So it's like all that stuff's pretty cool. Also, listening to the podcast helped. I straight up murdered that one character who's like the betrayer that you let out of prison.
You killed Lautrec, yeah.
Yeah, because of what you guys mentioned that he does on the podcast. So I was like thankful to hear that part about it. I'm like, nope, not gonna let that happen. The dragon in the depths was like a pretty rough boss battle.
Yeah, it has a ton of HP, too much HP.
Yeah, a couple of like butthole puckering moments when it said like your item's about to break, and I'm like, shit, if that happens, like I have nothing. I am a lost man if I lose my mace. So,
gosh.
But yeah, and I eventually made it through. What I was trying to do is like I had limited items, and I wasn't actually sure if you could backtrack at that point. I later found out you could.
Mm-hmm.
But I had 2 like lightning in reserve that I could put on my weapon, and I know that did more damage to the dragon. So I was like practicing because I was just running straight from the bonfire in the depths to the dragon and fighting it over and over again. And so I was practicing. I'm like, all right, if I can consistently get over half of its health like done, then I'll grab one of my 2 so I can use that to try and kill him. And then like the second I was like, all right, if I can do it one more time, I'll go get it. And I was able to kill him that time. So I was like, all right, sweet. I didn't even need to use the item. So yeah, anyway, interesting experience. It's fun to play. It's fun to like go through Bonfireside chat and listen to that along the way. Cool. But it's a very weird experience being like 9 years late to the party.
Hey,
but yeah, whatever.
Best time was then. Second best time is now.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else I have to say about it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna like ask too many questions. I don't want to scare. It's kind of like you're trying to approach a squirrel. You don't want to frighten them away. I'm just happy you're having a good time.
Yeah. And it does a good job of teaching you like pretty early on, like, hey, you might not be able to go this way. Hey, this thing might like be able to kill you pretty quickly. That's fine. Just go the other way, sort of thing, and just explore where you can go. I know it does that first with like the skeleton. I think it does it later with like the dragon on the bridge. Dragon on the bridge, I still haven't been able to kill. But like
the dragon on the bridge is BS. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fine because it teaches you pretty early on, like, okay, I'm going to give this guy a little light hit. Oh, did I take none of his health away? All right, I'm leaving. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's like manageable once you kind of pick up the tricks. I think like the detriment of the game is like none of this is telegraphed at all, right? You either have to learn this by like figuring out yourself or going online and like hearing what people have to say or listening to Bonfireside chat. Yeah. So, like, granted, like, it's nice that the game doesn't like hold your hand, but at the same time, like it doesn't. At the same time, it doesn't do a good. It's not like a Valve game where it's like they teach you things without you knowing it, sort of thing. Where it's like seamless, like learning. They don't do anything like that either. So yeah. Anyway, whatever. That's all.
Cool.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I'm happy. Cool. I'm happy you gave it a second chance.
Yeah. Same.
Nice. I don't have any other questions about that. Was that all you had?
Yep.
Yeah. I've got one that I'm streaming, but I don't know that I'm ready to go for it to talk about it here. So I'll save that for next time. I have played a little bit of the new Kirby game.
Hey.
Oh,
yeah. Fun. I wanted something as kind of a palate cleanser to go alongside with Elden Ring. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. There we go. I almost wanted to say realm.
Kirby in the Forgotten title.
Forgotten realm.
It's not a good name. I don't think. This is the first 3D Kirby game. I mean, like 3D gameplay wise. And it is remarkably okay. It's been a long time since I have played kind of a new Kirby game. Like, I don't know. I've kind of like dipped in and out. I think maybe the last one that I did was Kirby's Epic Yarn back on the Wii. So long time, right? But been a fan of the series. I like how it does, just a really attractive and fun and light platformer that excels on variety, as opposed to like technical, kind of like difficulty, execution, kind of things. Like even Mario, I think, is more demanding than Kirby tends to be. As a 3D game, this definitely captures the feel of the Kirby game. You're doing all your usual stuff. You've got the float. You can inhale enemies. Particular ones will give you their powers. The kind of big thing that is different in this is to get to the Forgotten Land, you passed through this portal that gave Kirby the ability to I love this name, and I want to say it, sing it from the hilltops. It gives Kirby the ability to engage in mouthful mode. It's so good. But what mouthful mode is, like if you try and inhale something that is like too big, like particular items, instead of you inhaling it, Kirby just kind of wraps around it and controls it. So the big example would be like there's a like a car, like a four-door sedan kind of thing that Kirby tries to inhale, and then he just kind of around it, and then you can ride around.
He chipmunks it.
What's that?
He chipmunks it.
I mean, a chipmunk implies that he's holding it in his cheek, and he gains car powers by it being in there. He's literally wrapping his body around it like it's being tended for bugs. And there are a few different options for what you're doing there. Big mouthful mode kind of things. Like there's I forget what it is. It might be like a gigantic traffic cone kind of thing that gives you the ability to do like a ground pound that will break through cracked ground. Kind of deal. This feels a lot like a Kirby game. It feels like a Kirby take on Super Mario 3D Land or Super Mario 3D World, in that you're not controlling the camera like you are in Super Mario Odyssey, and these levels are not like gigantic open world spaces that you are doing different objectives inside. They're like courses that you're going through. That are hiding secrets from you, depending on whether you have the right items at the right times, or if you can, navigate certain things pretty cannily, or, none of it's especially difficult to get your collectibles and stuff, to go through. But it is kind of like meant to be, I think, approximating the Mario 3D World, 3D Land style of thing, where you are doing quick courses with a lot of variety. And it's meant to be a bit of a sampler plate. If I have any complaints about the first couple of worlds, it's like barely a complaint at all. Like complaining, hey, this Kirby game is a little bit too easy. Like, of course, duh. Like that's kind of what you're there for. You're there just to kind of vibe, and roll with it. So that doesn't even like feel like it makes sense to say that. And also I'm relatively early on, and I know that every Kirby game kind of goes through this moment where suddenly the story gets unexpectedly dark and the mechanics get a little bit more demanding. So I'm looking forward to when I reach that point. Because as it gets into like weird cosmic horror shit that Kirby always hides in the back half of their games.
Kirby gets a mouthful of the Necronomicon.
It's only with a mouthful of sedan that he can properly pronounce the name of Yogg-Sothoth.
I mean, to be fair, this is a game that starts with Vor, so
starts, proceeds, and climaxes with Vor.
Yep, climaxes with Vor is now our title.
Okay.
I can help it. I think it's funny looking at Odyssey and then this. Like Nintendo seems to have decided that they want to send all of their cartoony characters into a real world setting.
It is kind of funny.
The other thing I was thinking of is I was wondering if this was like inspired directly from Odyssey, where it's like, hey, we need to make another game where you can grab any object and then like there's like a mini feature of like what you can do as that object. Because that's essentially like what you can do with mouthful mode. Sounds like what the hat is in Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
This is just a retexture. Oh no. As far as I can tell, so I might even say the other way around, like the Cappy stuff where you can inhabit things and take over their abilities feels that
Kirby.
It felt a little bit Kirby-esque to me. Which is not to like, that's not me riposting and saying my preferred Nintendo platformer, nah. It's just saying that like it makes sense that they would cross-pollinate from each other. To me, from my perspective, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Also, it starts out in the city world. I'm very curious to see where it goes, because I'm not in the city right now. Yeah. That is one of the weird things, though, because Kirby's entire world is, the setting is all about these candy-colored, Fisher-Price playlands. That is something that I'm kind of missing, which is you are in these more realistic spaces. You are fighting Kirby enemies, though, so there is no lack of that cute novelty, Fisher-Price style charm to it. So it's just kind of a different backdrop. It's neat. It's a fun game to play a couple of play a few stages up before bed.
Yeah, a good unwinding game has always been Kirby's shtick.
Yeah. And I just, like, of all the video game characters, Kirby is the strongest visual design. Like, I will die on that hill. Kirby is inimitable.
Strongest is in least. He's a pink ball.
No, but it was like how expressive he is, like how much they can accomplish. Like even with his little costumes and things like that. Yeah, no, Kirby's great. Yeah,
fair enough.
It's got tons of personality. Any other questions about Kirby and the Forgotten Land? All right.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
Yeah, we're engaging the improbability drive tonight. So what gaming feat have you accomplished, intentional or not, that you could never pull off again, even if you tried?
Yeah. I will get us started. We got very few responses this time, so this will be a quick one. Callum says, accidentally sniping the nuke rocket right after I was shot in a game of Unreal Tournament 3, I think. Didn't even know you could do that at the time.
That is impressive.
Sniping the nuke rocket after it was shot, not after I was shot. Okay, so you shot that thing out of the dang old air. Nice.
Yeah. Good luck doing that again.
Yeah, no, that is a freak accident. That's like that pitcher who nailed that bird.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was Nolan Ryan, I think, which is like, of all the pitchers that's going to hit a bird, the one with the hardest fastball at the time.
Somebody pointed this out on Twitter, and that's the reason that's on my head. After they pointed it out, I went and watched a video of it. The crowd went fucking nuts. It had been forever since I had seen video of that. I'd only ever seen, because it became a GIF so quickly. But just like the crowd going, "Fuck yeah, go to hell, bird!" It's like, oh, poor thing.
What I know is, did that count as the strike?
I think that
it did for the bird.
I umpired as one of my first jobs, so I can answer that question.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah. No, it's considered an object on the field of play, so it would be a ball. Like you can't control it was there. It's not a redo or anything like that. It's like, well, that was part of the game field. You should have accounted for it. So pitch yourself.
Birds are a factor.
Yeah.
Well, it's really to blame here, huh?
Yeah. Less fun if they get hit by the pitch, but the umpires are also considered objects on the field of play. So if an umpire was running past and Nolan Ryan pegged him in the head.
Yeah,
it's still a ball.
I mean,
it's still a ball.
It's a ball, but assault. So
yeah, when is a ball not a ball? When it's assault.
Woo! Sirens rolling up.
That's good.
David, what does Rookie say?
He says, I managed to beat Battletoads at around 10 years old, using only my powers of little kid patience and not having summer school that year. I know I can't replicate it as an adult because it was re-released on the Xbox 360 as part of Rare Replay, and I couldn't get past the Clinger Wingers, even using the unlimited rewind feature. In my defense, the 360's D-pad was terrible.
It is a shoddy craftsman who blames the 360 D-pad. Also, yeah, it was a pretty bad D-pad. Yeah, no, sometimes it's nice just having those. It's back there in the mist. You don't have to do it now because you did it then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ben, what does Greg say?
Greg says, playing a game, Civ 2, straight for 18 hours, only taking short breaks for bathroom and food one summer day when I was off with school and work.
Woo.
That's the longest gaming stretch I've done in one sitting, and I can't do it again because I'm an old man and I have to do other important things like sleep.
I mean, I can't even do like 2 hours is stretching it for me, not because I need to get up and do other things, but just like sitting still for a long time. I get ants in my pants. It doesn't hurt.
2 hours is stretching it because you have to stretch.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's nice to walk around and stuff, you know. Whew,
Yeah,
18 hours.
So that's I've talked on the show about us finishing our basement, and my kind of like gaming setup is down here now. And because we didn't want to do a ton of plumbing, we didn't put a bathroom down here, and it has highlighted just how often I need a bathroom while gaming. So yeah, that's the stage of life we're in. But yeah, 18 hours straight gaming is very impressive.
Dennis, what's your what is your unreproducible feat?
Yeah, unreproducible, improbable. To a crazy extent. I think it has to be sniping someone that I hadn't even seen in Apex Legends. Where the Kraber is a very powerful sniper rifle, and most of the time I don't mess around with that, but it was there. I took it. I took a shot and missed wildly, and then got a notification that I got a kill. So that was fun. So I'm going to claim it as a pro gamer move. And the person that I was shooting at killed me shortly after. So I'll take solace where I can.
You know, scoped that guy. Okay, all right. No, I couldn't even see it. I couldn't even see the guy that I killed.
Yeah,
I know item.
just blind fired, won the game. No worries.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah. This is tough. My joke answer will be, I don't know that I could get somebody to rage quit Portal 2 again. That was fun. Since Ben, you talked about Portal 2, I just that is still one of my cherished gaming memories. When I got that guy so angry that he left. No, there are any number of like Dark Souls optional bosses that are a combination of this will be too difficult, and also I just don't think it's very fun. So like Manus, I don't see a reason to fight Manus again. I like the fight in Bloodborne, Orphan of Kos, but it's just, a little bit too difficult for me, like to relearn it and get back into it. It's just way too late in the game. And, it's, I don't know, by the time I beat Maria, I'm usually kind of cashed out on that DLC or on Bloodborne anyway. So just a smattering of like Dark Souls, series bosses where it's like, yeah, I did that once. I don't necessarily feel compelled to try and climb that mountain again.
Yeah, when the motivation is being able to say I've done it. The inclination to go back is way less. Yeah.
If there's a reward, if it's for progress, then there's obviously something else. But if it's a purely optional thing, then I feel fine saying, nah, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. David, how about you?
So I'm gonna go with 2 because I like cheating. So in Fallout 76, I guess this is technically something someone else did, but in Fallout 76, the like endgame monster thing is what's called a Scorch Beast.
Okay.
Which is this like 2-story tall mutated radiation bat. Okay. And can straight up fly and blast you with energy, and every enemy in the game is completely physics enabled, and so when it dies it goes into ragdoll mode.
Okay.
So I was just playing, minding my own business, when someone else shoots a Scorch Beast out of the sky. It flies across the level and just lands right in front of me. Completely dead, completely safe, but wow, that was freaky.
Huh. That was a close call.
So more something, I guess neither of these are ones I actually did, but in EverQuest 1, there was the expansion that added like instance dungeons.
Yeah,
Also added-
Lost Dungeons of Norath. Yeah.
Yes. Also added a like teleportation feature.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the NPCs that are teleporting you, all their like
Yeah, Priests of Discord. Yeah.
You know way too much about this.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to argue with that.
All of their like dialogue is all about like, oh yeah, sometimes this thing screws up and people just get turned into, fine clouds of blood. Stuff like that. And so halfway through teleporting one of the times, my game glitches out and just like crashes, and I end up just in the middle of like the level somewhere, just kind of dropped off in the wilderness. So completely unrelated glitch, but it happened to sync up with kind of the in-game lore of
lore bit.
Every so often the teleport just goes wrong.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Nice.
That makes me think they need to have it be like, one of those like 1 in a million reload animations that there are hidden in certain shooters.
Yeah.
I think the Battlefield games have them.
Where nobody will believe you if you say it happened.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They just need to do that and like, no, I totally got red misted going through the teleport. It's like, yeah, that's in the lore, but it never happens in the game.
Yeah, it's totally like, this is the game though where you can fall off the plane of air and just like fall to your death into one of the newbie zones.
Yeah, you fall into Eastern Freeport. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my gosh, man, that makes me want to pull out my EverQuest Atlas and read some zone descriptions. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for writing in. And thank you, David, for taking me down EverQuest memory lane. And thank you, Dennis, rather, for posting this. Thanks all around. If you would like to participate in these, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are exciting in the world of video games. I was thinking about skipping this, but one of these stories is at least, I think, worth acknowledging. So Sony had been rumored for a while that they were going to be announcing a competitor to Xbox Game Pass. There have been a few kind of like leaked code names, some ideas of plans, things like that. Well, that was announced today as of the time we were recording. It was announced in the morning, and I don't think this is it. Have you guys seen this?
It's I mean, they had to answer Game Pass, but it's it feels like kind of a weak answer.
Yeah, and I don't know that I think Game Pass is not so much like a triumph of like technology. I think that it's just like a really, really, really good business relationships that they have with their studios and things. And I think that just Sony might be just a little bit too calcified to do something like release new games day and date on their subscription service, like this. They specifically said like we're not going to have day one stuff on this weirdly and badly named service that has 3 tiers, a bunch of stuff.
They straight up said that?
Yeah, they said they said it wouldn't work for the way we do things, which is like that's a really big selling point for Xbox Game Pass, right? It's just
that's a really funny way to say we're too greedy.
Yeah,
But that's the thing though, and I see this point being made over and over again, which is like Sony exclusives sell, Microsoft exclusives don't.
Yeah, that also is the thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's 3 different tiers, and kind of like the regular tier, the basic one isn't really changing as far as I can see, and going up just kind of increases the library of games that are that are available to you, with like the highest one offering you kind of the broadest selection, including on hardware emulation of original PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games, and streaming of all of those plus PlayStation 3. People are clowning on them for not being able to figure out how to emulate the PS3 on their system, which is real funny. But I also understand it's a technical improbability that is their fault for making the PS3 such a weirdo system. I like how that is continuing to bite them 15 years later.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just it's weird. I don't know. The fact that, like, Dennis, you kind of nailed it with saying Sony exclusive sell, Xbox exclusives don't. Like, even with the stuff that they're adding, like, yeah, you can get Death Stranding and Miles Morales and God of War on this, and it's like, man, I got a PlayStation. Like, I've already played all of those really good games, actually. Like,
Yeah, I'm still waiting for him to put out PS5 games.
Yeah, like, I've got I've got those. They're good. It'd be neat if I got new stuff with it, but I don't know. I think that this is complicated, and even at the best offering is kind of pale in comparison. So I just that was a big story, and I wanted to hit that. Am I alone in feeling skeptical about this?
I mean, Sony hates video games, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did leave the door open. They I forget the exact wording, but there was like an ominous kind of like, with more features to be announced at a later date.
Don't get mad at us. There are more features.
Yeah.
Don't worry. When you make that face, I'm joking.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see what how they try to work towards excitement for this service, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, Ben?
I mean, I'm always of the opinion that multiplayer should be free, so I'm not going to pay them anything
makes sense.
Play online multiplayer. So still stubborn after all these years, I guess.
Yeah. Dennis, what's going on with Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, well, first off, Breath of the Wild 2 is delayed. So in lieu of good news about that, I bring you just a little fun bit. There's a vendor in Breath of the Wild called Beedle, and you can find him in all these different places around the map. That's because there's actually 4 different models of him. And if you bash him, he'll fall backwards and move a tiny little bit.
Oh, no.
And if you do that until you gather all 4 of them together, you can take a screenshot and make a really dumb Beatles joke.
Okay.
And also have wasted 10 hours of your life making it happen.
Nothing is a waste if you can make content out of it.
Fair enough.
That has to be true. Dear God, let that be true.
My life.
Yeah. So kudos to Thorny Fox. We'll say his name. He took the time to do this. He also found out that if you do anything to interrupt, it will reset the location of NPCs. So if you save and reload, if you teleport, or if you sleep at a campfire, it resets their position. So yeah, it is literally like 2 feet at a time across the landscape of freaking Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, with all its ups and downs. Wow.
Yeah. But he got the Beatles together, and that made me happy.
I mean, he should have done it on a rooftop, but I guess I can count this.
Yeah, that would have been ideal. I guarantee there's a way to do that. I am sure.
I guess what I'm saying is, I doubt this person's commitment to the bit.
Yeah.
Sure, you've wasted 10 hours, but what about 100 hours?
Breath of the Wild 2 was delayed. That's not a surprise. Hey, Ben, what's going on? Any other high profile delays happening?
Suicide Squad delayed to 2023.
Yep.
So, yep.
Yeah. These things happen.
And it'll be, if it's released then, it'll be 8 years since their last game that it came out, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah. Arkham Knight. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Hopefully it's good.
Huh?
It'll suck if it sucks.
Yeah, that'd be disappointing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, delaying now is better than releasing something broken, a la Arkham Knight. Yeah,
a la Last Guardian. Is that
yeah.
All I want from that is a Amanda Waller movie.
Amanda, what?
Who? But what?
Is that the person from Suicide Squad?
Yeah, the woman who, she's basically DC's Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. There we go. Now I know who you're talking about. I can picture her from the trailer.
It is kind of funny that they announced it, or like this game has been developed before any other Suicide Squad media has been released. There's been 2 Suicide Squad movies since that time. So
That's why it's delayed, is they've had to retcon all this stuff to fit the other media.
yeah.
Oh man, nice.
Lordy.
Last chance, David. Did you have a story? Or are you gonna let us off the hook?
Gonna let you off the hook.
All right.
That's our
What a
rule.
guy.
How do you guys feel about buttoning it up?
Buttons.
The credit.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of the level number 408. We really appreciate you taking the time. You've listened to podcasts before. You know the things that you can do. Rating, reviews, Patreon, telling your friends, coming back next week. It's all good. Is there anything big that I'm forgetting to emphasize?
Don't think so.
Okay. I've been Cole Ross. You can find me on Twitter at Cole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me in the club.
I'm David Mindsmith.
Ben.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I didn't hear David say his name. I've been Ben.
None of us knew what to make of Dennis's thing.
I was too stun-locked from Dennis being in the club.
When you least expect it is when I'm in the club. I'm a club ninja.
And stick around for some titles. All right. I only have one. I have spotty little orbs. Just talking about those cheetahs. Yeah.
Not bad.
Dennis, what you got?
I've got 3. I've got Make a Tunic.
Okay.
I've got Hidden in the Black.
Okay.
Not so much funny. I just like the ring of it.
Yeah.
And then Kirby and the Forgotten Title.
Okay. David, what you got?
I've got 4. I've got Frat Cheetah,
Oh god.
Yallet,
Okay.
Forza,
Okay.
and of course, Climaxes with Vor.
Oh no.
Okay. Ben, what you got?
Nothing.
Okay. The one by I don't know that I want to do Climaxes with Vor. It's very funny, but the one that got last was Kirby and the Forgotten Title.
I do like that one.
Yeah.
I can get beyond that.
I'll throw a stone's vote for Frat Cheetah. I like the sound of Frat Cheetah, but I'm fine with anything.
Okay. I feel like if we do Kirby and the Forgotten Title, it'll get us some of that heat of people who want to hear about Kirby.
Oh, that's fine.
Let's for once make a crass marketing decision.
10 years in.
All about crass marketing decisions.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go to bed. I've got an early morning.
Sweet. See you guys around.
Take care, all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.